I'm Josh Merhar, and I'm going to break down that lick I was just playing, and then I'll show you a couple different ways to apply it to the drum set, and I'll even show you ways to expand upon it in a really great and meaningful way that will offer you fulfillment in some capacity. Let's just get started, shall we? So, in order to play that lick, you kind of need to know what it is. That makes sense to me, to you probably. So that lick, it's pretty simple. It's a 6-note phrase, and it's just right, left, left, kick. That same thing a little faster. And that same thing now up to speed. So I'm going to show you a few ways to apply this lick to the drum set, but before we do that, I want to explain the accent patterns I usually use in this lick. So Josh, I'm a first-year drum student. I mean, you probably couldn't tell from my pleather jacket and microphone clip, but I really have no idea what I'm doing behind the drums. What are accents? That's a great question, me sitting across the room on the floor in front of a trash can with somebody else's fake leather jacket holding a microphone clip. Well, an accent is a note that is played louder than other notes. That's the simplest definition. This lick uses accents and ghost notes, and ghost notes are typically quieter than every other note, and typical notes lie in between accents and ghost notes. The accent patterns I usually use in this lick, I really only stick to 2 of them. The first one, the accent is on the first and third note of the phrase, so it's both right hand hits, so it's like right, left, kick. At speed, that sounds like this. And the second accent pattern I usually play is the first 3 notes are accented. So right, left, kick. It's really important to have a dynamic contrast between the 2. It really helps the accents pop, and really quiet ghost notes just sound really good. And a lot of other people think you're really cool if you could bust out quiet, controlled ghost notes. So, the second accent pattern up to speed sounds like this. So now I'll show you a few ways to orchestrate this lick around the drum set, and you may ask yourself, what is orchestration? It's a very simple term. It's basically just which drums you decide to hit. You know, where you place each beat of the lick. For orchestration, we'll start by moving the right hand around onto different drums and cymbals, and it really changes the color of the lick, and it almost sounds completely different depending on how you orchestrate it. Now some of those examples played a little faster. And those examples played up to speed. So those were a few examples of orchestrating your right hand differently, but you could also orchestrate your left hand differently, and that opens up an entirely new realm of possibilities with this lick. So I'll show you some kind of slow. and then some a little faster. And up to speed. So as a quick recap, we now know what the lick is, which is a really good place to start. We know a few different ways to apply it to the drum set, and we know a few different ways to orchestrate the lick, and the whole concept of orchestration as a whole. So where do you go from there? Well, you could take this lick and expand it. And to me, expanding on a lick is kind of the difference between inventing something and innovating something. Expansion is just finding different ways to do the same thing, if that makes sense. There are a few different ways to expand. You could extend the lick by adding beats to it. You could even reduce the lick, or take pieces of the lick, and from that you could create new patterns. That's for a different topic entirely. But you could also displace accents. You could displace the orchestration. You could place them, this is a very triplet kind of sounding lick, where you could place them in a straight 16th or 32nd note context. It gives it an entirely different feel. And you could also turn the lick into a groove. So I'll show you how to do all those things. Let's start by extending the lick a couple beats. So to add some beats, since it's a really triplet-y kind of lick, we'll start by just adding 3 more notes to the end of it. Just right, left, left. Tack that on to the very end of the pattern. And then you have a 9-beat phrase. And that sounds like this. Here's that same thing slower. Now, oddly enough, you could expand a lick by taking things away. And that kind of, sounds very counterintuitive. But if you just take the last 4 notes of that lick, just the right, left, left kick, that's a really good phrase on its own. And up to speed, that sounds like this. Really slow, that sounds like this. Another thing you could do is start the lick on a different beat. For example, you could start with the kick drum, and then that way you could come out of the lick just with your right hand on a kick without having to do a double kick at the end. And real slow, that sounds like this. And up to speed, sounds like this. And it's also cool to, start with the lick as it is, and then displace it, and then kind of get back into the lick. And doing something like that would sound like this. Now, we've been really playing this lick only in triplets, but it also sounds really good in straight 16th notes. However, it won't line up on the 1 every measure if you're in 4/4. So you kind of have to add, just, if you're playing 16th notes, 6-beat phrase, 16 16th notes in a bar 4/4. You can play the lick twice, and then you'll have 4 16th notes left over. So, you could do whatever the heck you want there, just right, left, or you could take the last 4 of that lick, the right, left, left kick. That sounds really good. In fact, it sounds like this. I'll slow that down for you. Now, depending on how you orchestrate this lick, remember that word, don't forget that word, but depending on how you do it, you could turn this lick into a groove on its own, particularly in triplets. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. Here's what I'm talking about up to speed. Slowed way down. And as fast as I can physically play it. Now, it's just the same exact lick. It's been the same lick pretty much the entire time, so hopefully this gives you an idea of the possibilities that just these 6 notes have. And, you know, apply these concepts to pretty much any lick you know, and you'll be really surprised at what you come up with. Study diligently, and practice a lot, or I'm gonna find you, and maybe I'll like take you to dinner or something and we could talk about drumming, because I really like talking about drums. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Josh Merhar, and now I'm just gonna kind of go crazy with this lick and other licks that are similar to it and variations of it, just to show you some of the things that are possible when you really have it internalized and you own it. And that's the important thing here. Own this lick, make it yours. And here we go.